Okay, I'd like to open up this afternoon's debate. Today we'll be debating the motion this House would ban the opening of any more zoos. For the proposition, we have Radhika and Ava. For opposition, we have Naman and then Simran. I'd like to call the first speaker, Radhika, to come up and deliver her team's case. Whenever you're ready, Radhika.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Zoos are prisons for animals. They camouflage their cruelty with conservation claims, says me, Becky G, Director of International Programs at PETA. In fact, tigers and lions have 18,000 times less space in zoos than they would in the wild. Promises of protecting wildlife are a futile excuse for the mercenary and cruel operation of zoos. This House would ban the opening of any more zoos due to the extreme animal cruelty and lack of space that they force upon animals. Before I begin my speech, I would like to define a few key terms. We define the term as any more zoos as new zoos, both publicly and privately owned. Our policy is that already open zoos may continue to operate. However, this House strongly encourages them to take steps into ensuring the safety of animals. In order to win this debate, the proposition team must prove why zoos are the absolute best way to conserve animal life, and why new zoos, not old zoos, are crucial to despite animal torture and lack of space. As your first speaker, I will bring to attention the several tragedies that animals are forced to endure in zoos. Ava will describe the lack of habitat. Will Travers, OBE president of Born Free, says, and even a small proportion of animals in zoos are part of captive breeding programs. Of those, a tiny fraction have been released back into the wild. That's on a record that justifies tens of millions of wild animals being kept in zoos. It's no secret that zoos are horrible places for animals. They starve animals when there's lack of funds, and they ruthlessly murder animals when they breed unnecessarily.
POI.
No, thank you. No, thank you, sir. This is crucial. This is crucial in understanding the several threats that animals face daily. Conservation of wildlife is absolutely crucial as we head into the 21st century. We are met with more environmental struggles than ever before, and this is the greatest man-made issue that our species has identified so far. We strongly believe that banning zoos is crucial in ensuring that animals are treated with better treatment. Therefore, I am proud to oppose.
Okay, thank you. Naman, I'll let her take the POI because she has time left. You want the POI?
Okay. So according to your thinking, do you believe that all currently existing zoos should close and ban any zoos to open in the future, or just prevent the opening of any zoos in the future?
Thank you for your POI. I understand that there are some zoos that benefit animals in some ways. However, as I directly quoted in my speech, this in no ways justifies the amount of the tens of millions of animals that are kept in zoos unethically. I believe that the funds that traditionally go into opening more zoos can be better used in wildlife preservation programs, which also educates the public in a more ethic manner, which provides animals with protection.
Okay. No follow-up? Okay, I'd like to thank you for your speech, Radhika. And I'd like to call up the first speaker of the opposition, Naman, to start his team's case. Naman, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to start off with some rebuttals. The proposition claimed that they wanted to employ educational wildlife programs instead of zoos to educate the public on the abuse and malintentions that a lot of the zoos have. But actually 25% of the zoos help their endangered animals, and with the progression of society, a lot of the newly opening zoos are helping endangered animals reproduce and keep their species existent. By removing any currently existing zoos, these would prevent these animals from being able to maintain their species, and by replacing them with a educational awareness.
POI?
Yes.
You previously mentioned that 25% of zoos benefit animals. However, do you believe that instead of pouring government money into zoos of which only 25% benefit animals, the government could better utilize their money by using it for wildlife preservations, 100% of which would help animals?
I do not believe that because currently existing zoos would be a lot easier to pour money into because 25% of zoos actually help animals by pouring money into those current existing zoos, they could increase that ratio to something like 50 or even 75%. And by maybe closing currently existing zoos that endanger animals, uh, then we could spread the use of natural ways to preserve and reproduce currently endangered species to keep them existent rather than causing extinction by just pouring money into something that already is non-existent, because that would take a very long time to produce and uh, make be, and a lot more money would be required to make these educational or awareness spreading programs like you mentioned in your speech. Thank you for the POI. Secondly, if all zoos were to be banned from opening in the future, I'd like to mention that a lot of animals are only sustained because of zoos. And the wildlife has adapted to being able to survive with the amount of animals that are currently spread throughout savannas and fields and wetlands and the sort. If,
POI,
yes,
do you believe that the 15% of animals that are endangered in zoos justify the tens of millions other animals that are brutally treated every day?
I do not believe it justifies that. However, it definitely makes a difference and a noticeable difference. By closing zoos, it would only make the situation worse. Thank you. Uh, what would one do with all of the animals that would, say, be existent in future zoos? Animals are multiplying rapidly, and zoos help with the maintenance of these animals. Zoos, the ratio of zoos being able to maintain and reproduce endangered species has gone from 10% to almost 30%. And that rapidly increasing rate will only go further and further uh, if the government is able to put money into these helpful zoos. A lot of zoos are built around very highly trusted wildlife companies. And these wildlife companies help a lot in the preservation of nature and especially endangered species. That's why I'm proud to represent the opposition for this case. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Naman. Naman, you spoke for 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Okay, I'd like, Ava, do you want 30 seconds to think about your rebuttals? Okay, and then I'll bring Ava up. Okay. Simran, did you get my, yeah, you got my note? Okay.
It's fine because I was really stupid and I didn't write down my thing, so I've already forgotten what I was going to say. So I just really regret my life right now.
As it is. Okay. Ava, are you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Hey, that's impromptu. Okay. I'd like to invite the final speaker of the proposition to come up and close out her team's case. Ava, whenever you're ready.
1 second. Envision a universe in which you are being taken away from your home with no warning and no time to say goodbye to your family. You now live in a cage with a bunch of other random people you don't necessarily know. Just as a little kid, you go through so much, and your family is not even there to support you. Well, this is what animals go through when being placed in zoos. Fact, 50 laws have passed since 2014 that protect wild animals in traveling shows. This fact shows that laws are getting passed to help solve the problem of animal cruelty. Yet this House would like to improve these laws by adding in their motion, which states that this House would ban the opening of any more zoos. I would like to move on with some rebuttals now. So the first speaker of the opposition team said that there are 25% of zoos help endangered animals. Yeah, how do these animals become endangered? It's because of poaching and zoos taking away animals from their natural habitat, causing them to have trauma. Instead, they could use wildlife preservations, because wildlife preservations keep animals in their natural habitat and also help ensure that endangered animals are safe. and additionally help them reproduce. You said that 25% of zoos help endangered animals. Yet what about the other 75%? They do not help solve this problem, nor help the animals at all. They only help the pleasure of human beings. These 75% of zoos harm the animals and scar them for lives. Additionally, this house believes that the first speaker does not understand the motion because it is about adding zoos, not the zoos that are already here. It is about banning the addition of new coming zoos. So it is easier because the money is already there, yes, but we're not removing old zoos. We are taking, we're not removing old zoos. We're talking about new ones and implementing new ones and how that will not help the economy or animals. So the thesis of my point is that animals are being put into unnatural habitats without warnings, which is not fair for the animals. The animal is being deprived of its natural social structure and companionship. Animals in zoos are being forced to live in artificial, stressful, and boring conditions. Removed from their natural habitat and social structures, they are confined to small, restrictive environments that deprive them of mental and physical stimulation. The Humane Society states that animals should never be torn from their natural habitat, forced to live in cages and perform tricks. Therefore, this is why this house would ban the opening of any more zoos. Thank you.
Okay, speaker spoke for 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Okay, good. Simran, do you need 30 seconds?
No, I
You're
don't.
ready to go right away.
Also, Simran, you are allowed to speak about Veronica's POI because she stated that in the speech.
Yeah. Simran, you can go back and you can clean up.
No, it's okay. Arthur had a logical fallacy, which I am about to prove wrong. So,
All right, can I introduce you before you Dr. Evil?
Trying to be right. Good luck to me.
All right, so I'd like to invite the final speaker of the debate up to deliver and close her team's case. Simran, whenever you're ready.
yes. Okay, thank you. Before I start my speech, I would like to start with some rebuttals. Madam Arvamera said that zoos contribute to the endangerment of animals as they take them from their habitats. I don't think that this speaker knows that zoos are legally not allowed to capture wild animals. The animals existing in zoos now are the lineage of once wild animals that were captured and then thrown into an enclosed space. So I think a large part of Arvamera's speech
Too early. She has a minute.
Speech is not valid. Thank you. Now, the thesis of my point is that zoos save endangered species from extinction by protecting them from external factors such as poachers, habitat loss, starvation, and predators. In this world that we currently live in, there is increased climate change. Okay, animal habitats are not the same as they were, and animals are increasingly not able to cope and adapt this quickly. Right. Now, there's also illegal poaching, and that means that all of these factors contribute to there being more room for extinction. Now, there are multiple conservation efforts done by zoos, like the Arabian oryx, like that is an animal that was nearly hunted to extinction in the wild. However, it was revitalized thanks to the conservation efforts of Phoenix Zoo and others. In 2017, 1,000 of these animals had been restored to the wild, and there were thousands more that were living in zoo environments. Now, how do zoo conservation programs run? So they use research and they use research they add their own research to preservation companies, and they also preserve threatened even like extinct ones in the wild that they have instinct species in their zoos, and a lot of zoos are working tirelessly to bring those extinct species back into the wild. And they provide much needed, so they provide lots of needed funding for research and conservation projects around the world. And then there's this thing called AZA, accredited zoos and aquariums, and they fund over 2,500 conservation products in more than 100 companies. And on average, they spend about $160 million on conservation initiatives annually. Yeah. Zoos also have funding that
You know why?
zoos also have funding and knowledge that conservation efforts need and cannot source anywhere else. In conclusion, zoos help so much with conservation efforts, and our world is in dire
You know
need
why?
of its funding and help, especially with the current climate crisis. Thank you. That's why I'm so proud to support this.
POI.
Oh,
Yeah, do you want to take a POI, Simran?
I will take.
Okay, come on.
I'll take Ave Maris.
Okay, so
Actually, no. I'll take vodka.
hey, no. You said you would take mine.
Vodka speaks.
Simran, take Ava's. You called her.
Okay, so I have many. So let me just think.
No, you only get one.
Yeah. Okay. So you were mentioning about how how they use lots of money they use, I think, something million dollars to preserve these animals. But don't you think they could use that money for something else and instead put them in wildlife don't you think that instead they can what?
Sanctuaries. It's
In
called
sanctuaries, sorry. Yeah, don't you think they could just put them in sanctuaries? Because sanctuaries cost less money. They're also putting them in their natural habitat. And so this all in all is better for humans because it helps save money, and also for animals because it lets them stay in their natural habitat. What's your opinion on that? Yeah.
Ave Maris, did you know that sanctuaries are actually types of zoos? Like they're classified as zoos.
But sanctuaries are the types of zoos that put animals in their natural habitat. They keep them there. They just build a sanctuary.
Yeah, it's still a zoo, and many other sanctuaries or zoos still do
Well,
this.
the type of zoo that we're talking about, if I don't think Radhika, if you did not understand what Radhika was speaking about in the beginning, is we're talking about the kind of zoos that people go into, people watch, not the sanctuary type, because what we've been saying our whole speech basically.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Sorry, Ava, I have to cut you off. Okay.
I agree. Okay, I agree with that, but we're not talking about specific types of zoos. We're talking about all zoos. Okay, you can't just.
So we said in our speech we were talking about specific zoos in our speech, huh?
Yes, but the whole point of this debate is zoos on a whole.
We need a proposition. We get to say what we're talking about. Blah.
Okay.